What's up everybody, it's Prashant here. As we all know, the price of Bitcoin is falling again. As of the time of this recording, the price of Bitcoin is flirting with the $42,000, $43,000 range. Of course, this is way off the high that we saw in November of 2021 of $67,000. In fact, we are down $25,000 from that point, about 36 to 37%. So today I wanted to make a video and recap the price history of Bitcoin and the several crashes that has happened in the price of Bitcoin. But before we get started, here is a quick less than 1 minute explainer of what Bitcoin really is. So Bitcoin was founded after the financial crisis of 2008 by an anonymous person or group of persons going by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. The first Bitcoin was mined in 2009 and the thought was to have Bitcoin as a decentralized digital currency with no central authority. The creators of Bitcoin believed that the central authorities and central banks had too much power and they abused the power, ultimately causing the financial crisis of 2009. If there is no central authority with that much power over a currency, they cannot single-handedly manipulate it and cause so much damage in the financial markets. So that's why they set up Bitcoin to be a decentralized currency. Everybody on the system, which they call the blockchain, would have access to the same information, and if anybody tried to cheat the system, they would be caught by everybody else on the system. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about the price crashes. The first crash came in 2011, just 2 years after the first Bitcoin was mined. The price of Bitcoin surged from just 30 cents all the way up to $35 before crashing to $2.30, a crash of roughly 90%. The next big crash happened in 2013. The price of Bitcoin surged to $259 on April 10, 2013, before crashing to $43, a crash of 82%. However, Bitcoin shortly reversed course and went up to a high of $1,163 by November of the same year. After this though, Bitcoin went into a bit of a bear market for the next 2 years, falling to a low of $152 by January of 2015, a crash of 87%. After this though, I would say is where Bitcoin really joined the big leagues. Over the next few years, Bitcoin's price rose up to $20,000 by December of 2017. 2018 was another rough year for Bitcoin though, and it fell to a low of $3,100 by December of 2018, another crash of 84%. After this, Bitcoin rose again to $7,200 in 2019 and $30,000 in 2020. 2021 was a crazy ride for Bitcoin as there were two price crashes in 2021. It rose from $30,000 to $60,000 by April, but then crashed to $32,000 by July. And then it rose to its all-time high of $67,000 in November, but has been coming down since. This is the crash that we're seeing happening in real time right now, and the price of Bitcoin is about $42,000, down 37%. If we look at the price chart of Bitcoin, we can see that there is a support level at the $41,000, $42,000 mark, and the price of Bitcoin has tested this mark a few times over the last few months. A few days ago, earlier in the week, the price of Bitcoin just briefly dipped just below $40,000, and in fact, I happened to be watching the trading charts at that time when it happened, and I caught it on video on my Instagram stories. Regardless, it has recovered and gone up since then. But the next support levels, if it were to breach that $41,000 level, is at $37,000 and then at $28,000 level. So Bitcoin could fall significantly further before recovering once again. The fact remains that Bitcoin is a super volatile asset with frequent and drastic price drops happening pretty regularly. Now, if an 85% drop happens now off its recent high of $67,000, the price of Bitcoin would go back down to about $10,500, something that seems completely unbelievable when you really think about it. Bitcoin used to be thought of as a hedge against inflation, that if inflation rises, if the cost of things going up or the real value or buying power of the dollar started going down, Bitcoin would be a good asset to keep your money in, to keep your funds in, to be able to beat that inflation. Recently though, the price of Bitcoin seems to have gotten more and more related to high-risk stocks in the market. Look at these charts. On the left is the BTC price chart, and on the right is the ETF VGT. This is an ETF that tracks the top 300 tech companies in the United States. Now, I'm not saying they're identical, but the price charts seem to follow the same shape over a recent time interval. This leads me to believe that the price of Bitcoin is starting to behave like other risk-on assets in the US stock market. Currently, inflation is high in the United States. We just got a report that said inflation is at 7% now, and the Fed is ready to ease up on its easy money policies. In fact, we just got meeting minutes from a meeting in December that shows that the Fed might be ready to increase interest rates much earlier than anticipated in 2022. This has caused prices of risk-on assets like tech companies to start falling, and this has been true for Bitcoin as well. The prices of Bitcoin have been falling for the past few weeks and months. We don't yet know if the price of Bitcoin will crash catastrophically and we'll see an 85% downturn or not. We just have to wait and watch. On the one hand, people are saying that Bitcoin is a mature asset now, and because of that, it should not drop 85%. On the other hand, however, we should remember that the first Bitcoin was mined in 2009. That's only 12 years ago. To think that the markets completely understand how this new asset class behaves would be foolish, because we just don't have that kind of long-term data to back this up. Another thing that Bitcoin bulls will point to is that Bitcoin has been adopted widely, and this should prevent another 85% crash. While I agree that Bitcoin in particular and cryptos in general have seen widespread adoption in the markets lately, I would like to point out that something like 50% of all Bitcoin holders got into the market in 2021. A year when the price of Bitcoin went from $30,000 to $67,000. Just like everything else, just like any other asset, new investors often chase returns, which means they often buy assets that have already appreciated, which drives the price of those assets further, making it a self-fulfilling prophecy. However, I'm willing to bet that most of these people are not used to seeing their holdings drop by 85%. And if a major crash starts happening, I'm afraid that they will want to liquidate and get out of the market, which would exacerbate the pain in the Bitcoin price. One last breakthrough that I want to talk about is the adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender by El Salvador. This is another thing that Bitcoin bulls will point to as a legitimization of Bitcoin, of being accepted as legal tender by a sovereign nation. Now, I agree, getting accepted as a currency by a nation is no small feat. But El Salvador is a small country, economically speaking. They have a GDP of $25 billion, which is smaller than all 50 US states and DC. Vermont is the US state with the smallest GDP of $36 billion. El Salvador is the 104th country by GDP and is worth just 0.03% of the world's GDP. Nothing against El Salvador, but it just isn't a big deal if El Salvador adopts Bitcoin as its legal tender. Before this, El Salvador was using the US dollar as its currency. This is a pretty tough position for El Salvador. A country needs to have control over its currency to set effective economic policy, and it's pretty hard to do that when you're not even using your own currency. So, adoption of Bitcoin is more of a move away from the US dollar than an endorsement of Bitcoin. Of course, using Bitcoin takes them away from having to use the US dollar, which gives them some more flexibility in setting economic policies. Moving to Bitcoin is an easy way to hop to a new currency without going through the long, arduous, and expensive process of setting up a brand new fiat currency. Anyway, let's go back to talking about Bitcoin and its price. Just the fact that we keep talking about Bitcoin in terms of its price in the US dollar tells you all you need to know about its utility. We never say things like my rent is 0.05 BTC per month or that this car costs 1 BTC. All we say is that Bitcoin is currently trading at $42,000. This tells me that Bitcoin will never be used as it was originally intended, as a decentralized currency. All it will be used for is as a store of value, as digital gold. Just like the price of gold, I think that the price of Bitcoin will always be influenced by broader economic and market factors. As far as what happens in the short term to the price of Bitcoin, we'll have to wait and see. If fear in the market recedes and other risk on assets like tech stocks start going higher, I think Bitcoin will do better as well. However, if fear remains high and increases further and inflation increases further, I think that the price of Bitcoin could breach below that $41,000, $42,000 level as well, and maybe even go back down to the $28,000 support level. So that's all I have for you guys in today's video. I hope you enjoyed this recap of Bitcoin price crashes and my thoughts as to why it's happening and what happens next. If you did, please subscribe to this channel and smash that like button. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.